The new tariff regime arising from the decision by the United States of America, which have been directed not only to South Africa but to the entire world, necessitates strategic responses to maintain and grow our industrial base as a crucial avenue to pursue inclusive growth. In response to the US government's imposition of tariffs, South Africa will continue to navigate the challenges and opportunities these measures present with resilience and innovation. Guided by its national interests and aligned with its broader trade and industrial policy, South Africa is committed to ensuring economic growth, industrial development, and the well-being of its citizens. South Africa intends to negotiate favorable agreements. South Africa will work to secure opportunities in context of rapid withdrawal of favorable arrangements, giving our exports preferential access to the United States of America. This might involve securing additional exemptions and favorable quota agreements, ensuring our industries maintain critical access to the US markets, including through sectoral cooperation. This aligns with the national interest of promoting economic prosperity and safeguarding the livelihoods of South Africans. Diversity and expand trade relations. Efforts will intensify to diversify export destinations, targeting markets across Africa, as well as in Asia, Europe, Middle East, and the Americas. Moreover, such efforts will also, where deemed appropriate, involve bilateral arrangements where these allow for the pursuance of our national interests. In our presidency of the G20, as the recent engagements at the G20 Trade and Investment Working Group indicate, the issue of supply chain geographic diversification is a challenge confronting all open markets economies across the globe. This diversification supports South Africa's industrial strategy and reduces the dependence on single destinations markets for our exports or single sources for intermediate input requirements, fostering resilience in line with national economic priorities. South Africa will leverage the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to bolster intra-Africa trade, fostering stronger regional economic integration and cooperation. This approach aligns with the national interest of contributing to a better Africa and a better world. Focus on value-added production. Industries will prioritize transforming raw materials into high-value finished goods, reducing tariff exposure and driving innovation to improve profitability. This supports South Africa's industrial policy objectives of boosting local manufacturing and creating jobs. Stimulate domestic growth. The government will invest strategically in industries impacted by the tariffs, supporting economic growth through modernization and targeted infrastructure development. This aligns with the national interest of ensuring the well-being of South Africans. Forge global alliances. South Africa will continue to build strategic partnerships with other nations, enhancing collaborations and our influence in the international trade negotiations. This reflects the national interest of strengthening global diplomatic and economic ties. South Africa's tariffs and industrial strategy are designed to support industrial development, employment growth, and economic resilience. By aligning these policies with the national interest, South Africa will ensure that its economy emerges stronger, more diversified, and resilient in the face of global trade complexities. This approach will also apply to the 7 February executive orders, which is currently being attended to by interdepartmental teams, which includes all the departments that are affected by the executive orders. And you know most of them: higher education, basic education, defense, health, transport, and many departments. The 31% tariffs implemented by the US administration will be effective from the 9th of April 2025. South Africa's average tariff is 7.6%, and therefore South Africa needs clarity on the basis for the 31% to be implemented by the US. It is important to note that products such as copper, pharmaceutical, semiconductors, lumber articles, certain critical minerals, and energy products have been exempted from the reciprocal tariffs. Some of these materials are already key parts of the United States of America sourcing requirements. According to the United States Geological Survey, 97% of their chrome ore requirements come from South Africa. 6% of fluorspar import requirements, and 24% of the United States manganese requirements. These reciprocal tariffs will not apply to products already facing Section 232 tariffs of the 25%, such as steel, aluminium, automobiles, and auto parts. The reciprocal tariffs effectively nullify the preference that sub-Saharan Africa countries enjoy under the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, well known as AGOA. The sweeping tariffs measures will affect several sectors of our economy, including automotive industry, agriculture, processed food and beverage, chemical, metals, and other segments of manufacturing, with implications for job and growth. The U.S. represented 7.45% of South Africa's total exports in 2024, while South Africa accounted for only 0.4% of U.S. total imports. Such, South Africa does not constitute a threat to U.S., and where there is a trade imbalance in favor of South Africa, it is mainly on agricultural products, which are counter-cyclical, and minerals, which are inputs in U.S. industries. South Africa will continue building domestic supply resilience, reducing cost of doing business, and increasing competitiveness of our economy. Further, South Africa will continue with efforts to diversify export markets as part of its resilience building strategy. The significant market access opportunities, both through trade agreements and through strategic partnerships with countries across the globe, present huge opportunities for our exports. The recently concluded Africa Continental Free Trade Area remains untapped beyond the Southern African Development Community. Furthermore, South Africa enjoys preferential market access through the South African Customs Union, SADC-AU Economic Partnership Agreement, SACU plus Mozambique and UK EPA, the European Free Trade Associations, MERCOSUR that includes Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, and the Japan Generalized Systems of Preferences. In addition, government is strengthening relations with countries in Asia and the Middle East to open new market access opportunities. Some of these efforts are bearing fruits with new market access opportunities for agricultural products. To reiterate, the presidencies, while South Africa remains committed to a mutually beneficial trade relationships with the United States, unilaterally imposed and punitive tariffs are a concern and serve as a barrier of trade and short prosperity. The tariff affirmed the agency to negotiate a new bilateral and mutually beneficial agreement with the U.S. that will establish a more fair trade relations with the U.S. as an essential step to secure long-term trade certainty.